Hey guys, it's Eric from Loyal Lab Electric and Generators. Today I'm here with Clay and we're going to talk a little bit about some things that are going on in the industry. So Clay, we see it all the time. There's companies in the area, we've got private equity, we've got corporate owned companies. There's just a lot of things that they're not privately owned anymore, and there are things that happen behind the scenes that I don't think homeowners really know about, and I just wanted to talk about it a little bit so people can be aware. And kind of the first thing about it is when we become an electrician, we spend a lot of time, hours, and money investing, right? How long you been at it?
About 8 years now.
Yeah, and we had to go for school for 4 years. We had to get 8,000 hours of work hours. We had to take a test. We had to do all that stuff to get licensed. And then there are some companies that are coming in, and what people don't understand is when a company gets bought or changed ownership, there's a lot of things that happen. So one thing that happens is most companies around here were started by a master electrician like myself, and then when they sell or change ownership, that master electrician license usually goes with the owner. And so the company in its new ownership is left with either no master electrician on record, or it just gets passed off to one of the employees who really has no stake in the outcomes because they don't have any skin in the game, so they have no vested interest. So for here, every job that you do, even if I'm not on it, it's my master electrician license attached to it. It's on the permit, so I'm responsible for all that. And,
right.
You see it, you're out in the field every day, so what are some of the things you're seeing out there?
I see a lot of contractors aren't even a part of the electrical trade that are actually doing work unlicensed, and that's a big thing too. Out-of-state contractors that don't carry New Hampshire licenses. We reciprocate with a couple of states in the area, but most of them aren't licensed. So the big one that I see is us coming into jobs that need to have permits pulled. The work's already been completed, but they're looking for a licensed person to pull the permit. Obviously, we don't take part in that. And homeowners should be aware of that. It's felony charges in the state of New Hampshire if you're soliciting electrical services without a license, and that's what really grinds my gears when they say, it's we work hard for it. You work hard for your business and to keep things going and to run a reputable and a licensed business with licensed people that work for you, and even down to our apprentices. They all are licensed and carry apprentices cards, and they start with school and then they apply through the state, and they stay legal that way too.
Yeah, and besides just the out-of-state stuff, there's also, companies around here, we see it in our own market. There's companies that are, locally owned by somebody that lives in the area, but they're sending apprentices out to do jobs. So you may technically have a company that you hired and you expected to have a licensed electrician. You're paying a premium in most cases, but the person that's coming to your house to do the work or to quote the work or whatever the case may be isn't even a licensed journeyman or master. They're just an apprentice who was sent, on his own, which is against the law in New Hampshire and Maine and Mass and Vermont and most other states around here.
I don't like seeing that either, especially for all the hard work that we've put in to get our license and to be able to run a truck. Not to say that person might not be able to do that kind of work. They shouldn't be doing that kind of work. The knowledge, the practice isn't there yet, especially if you're an apprentice. I think we all know the story of the 12-year apprentice. That life lives on in most trades.
Yeah, we've had apprentices come through here, and we have some apprentices here that have the knowledge to do work on their own. Technically they could do the work unsupervised, but we stay within the confines of the law. We're not sending apprentices out to do work, unless they're licensed like they're supposed to be.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's how it should be.
Yeah.
You're paying, like you said, you're paying for a premium for work that's being done, for trust with you're being trusted with somebody's house and their lives. If something that we do is wrong, and it could be wrong, then something bad could happen.
Yeah, and the biggest thing I see, so, like I said, we've seen it in this market. A company changes ownership. Maybe one of the employees stays on, and he has a master license, and he goes on as the license of record. So all the permits that get pulled fall under his master license, which technically makes them, compliant with the rules. But what happens if midway through your project that employee leaves, which happens all the time? There's employee turnover all the time. We've unfortunately lost employees. It just happens. So then you could be in the middle of your remodel, your generator installation, your project, and that employee moves on to go to get another job, and now you're left with either a job that can't be completed or it's being completed outside of, the rules of the state. It's crazy. And then a lot of people don't even know how you can find it. Do you know how you can figure out if your contractors are licensed?
Yeah, I mean, the simple ways to ask, if they can spit out a number at you pretty quickly, then the chances are they're licensed. The other way that you can do it is you can ask them. Say, I'd like to see a copy of your license, or you can go on the OPLEC, right?
Yeah.
On the New Hampshire government website, and then you can search them by name.
Yeah, you can. If you can't figure out the website, if you just Google like New Hampshire electrician license lookup, it'll pop right up, one of the first results.
Yeah, and it'll show all their licenses. Yours, when I looked yours up to see expiration dates and stuff, it pops up with your apprentice card, all the way back to your apprentice card.
Yeah.
So obviously it's inactive, and your journeyman's inactive, and your master's is active.
Yeah.
So that's what you're looking for when you're looking people up.
Yeah, and sometimes licenses reciprocate from Mass, New Hampshire to Maine, so the requirements are pretty much the same across all states. So if you don't see somebody in New Hampshire, you can look them up in Maine and see if they're at least licensed in Maine. So Maine has the same system for verifying licenses.
Right. The state does not care though if you're licensed in Massachusetts or in Maine and you're doing work unlicensed in New Hampshire, you still have to have a reciprocated license to do work, even though that you're licensed in the two states that do reciprocate to New Hampshire.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think it's just really important people to know who's coming into their house. It's as a homeowner myself, when we have to call plumbers, HVAC technicians, it's a complete stranger that's coming to your house, and you think you're hiring a reputable company, they have good reviews, all that stuff, so you just expect them to be licensed, but it might not be the case.
Right. Yeah, and it's a hard-fought battle. I think the state now does it monthly, where you can go and sit down with the electricians board, and they go over different things and stuff like that. So you can go and sit down, and they talk about changes in the code, which is cool.
And because that's the other thing. If you don't have a license, if you're not maintaining a journeyman or master license, that means you're not doing the continued education that is required to keep the license. Every 3 years, a new code book comes out, and you're supposed to take a class and a test on it to make sure that you know the new codes.
Right.
That's the only way they keep up with it.
I think New Hampshire states in the RSAs that it's any part of the electrical system. If you're soliciting any part of the electrical system. So in my mind, that reads, even if you're changing an outlet and you're not licensed.
Yeah, if you exchange electrical work for money, you need to be licensed.
Right. I also do see a lot of people that will comment, and a lot of people that will say, it's not that hard what you do. It's pretty easy stuff to match up wires and put them under screws. That is not all that we do. We do a lot more than just match colors and put on wire nuts. And even so, we still have a license to do that, and that person, whether or not you can do it, you should not be doing it.
Yep, couldn't agree more. That's just a couple things that we're seeing going on in the industry now. I wanted to make a video going over it because we see it every day, and it's not just from small companies, the mom and pop shops. It's from companies you would expect to be reputable companies following the rules, and it's just happening all the time out there.